you guys have been on a great run going into these playoffs, and Bournemouth have had a few defeats. Are you in perhaps the best form and the best position to be heading into these playoffs against a team that's perhaps dipped a little bit towards the end of the season?
Yeah, I don't think you can discuss that as the black and white results say that. And if you ask me, and I think if you ask any coach, do you want to have momentum and play well? I think they every single time want to prefer that. But all of us also know the next game is always a new history. That's for sure. But it definitely a playoff semi-final will be a completely different story and completely different match. Everyone will give their all. It's all in. It's all or nothing. One winner. So yeah, I don't know how much we can use in these games, to be fair.
You played the season without fans, and now we're going to have fans in the playoffs. How much of an impact do you think that will have and can have for the players?
No, I think it's one of these things, if you haven't been riding a bicycle for a long time, the first 200 meters may be a little bit shaky, and then it's like what you've done for the last 10 years or 20 years. So I definitely think it can have an impact, and especially in the first spell of the game. So it's something we will mention because I'm pretty sure that the Bournemouth fans will do everything they can to put pressure on us and back their home side. And likewise, we can't wait, to open our new home to our fantastic fans and invite them in. And they will, of course, do everything they can to help us and push us forward.
Brentford, of course, including last year, have had 9 previous playoff campaigns, and it hasn't worked out for them just yet. Is that something that can get into the minds of the players? And is there anything you can take, perhaps, from last year as an experience that makes you stronger this time round?
I think I read the stats the other day. 9 playoffs, 4 finals. That's a remarkable stat, huh? Without achieving a win in any of them. I think that's history. For us, it's not going into our head, I would say, because we know it's a modern world. We know there's not like a voodoo curse over Brentford that we can't, get out of and get a positive result. So I think I understand the fans and I understand, the emotions, and they are not in it. They can't control it. They're worried. We are going in there with the knowledge of we can win, we can lose. With the knowledge of that this is big games that will give everything to make sure that we can get out on the right side and win them. And answer your other question, I'm no doubt that we have more experience. We will be in a better place. Would that help us enough to win? Maybe in the tight moments, but there's a lot of other margins that's not only about experience, but definitely I think we are in a good place going into the semi-finals.
You talked about margins there, and there is so much resting on this. I know you talked about it before, about these games are so important. You'd like to see VAR used, even though they haven't been used across the season of the Championship, and even with a lot of people questioning its use in the Premier League. Did you stand back by that? Do you really feel that going into these two matches and then the final, that so much resting on it, we should use everything at our disposal to make sure that we get the right results?
Yeah. I still think VAR would have held these 3 games for the 4 involved teams, definitely. But it's, you can say football is not a fair game. You can say that most of the times the favorites or the best playing side are winning, but there's a lot of times where they're not winning, which is one of the reasons why we love football. That is so unpredictable in many ways, and maybe the VR will take that out of it or can take that out of it. But of course, if there is a crucial call in these games, like a red card or penalty, that there shouldn't be there or there should be there, then that's a big thing for a team or club that worked so hard a whole year, and then it can be decided by a human error. So I think it's mainly because there's so much on stake. You can say that you maybe want it. But I would say I watched the FA Cup final yesterday, and when they equalized Chelsea, I was thinking, oh wow, that's a goal, and the celebration, you can see that from the Chelsea players. And after, I haven't even seen the exact measurement if it's a 1 centimeter or what, but it's 1 centimeter deciding they're not going into extra time, and maybe potentially Chelsea being in a better position because they had all the offensive players on, and Leicester was more defensive because they tried to defend the lead. So I don't know if it's that kind of decision, because that's not the one, but it's the clear penalties, or the clear, and not the stupid handball rules, but the clear penalties, red cards. That's what I'm talking about.
Just finally from me, Bournemouth manager Jonathan Woodgate has said that he thinks Dominic Solanke, his front man, is better than Ivan Toney. He thinks he's a better player all round. Where do you stand on that comparison, given what Ivan's done for you this season?
I think Solanke is a very good player, very talented player, and I'm very pleased to see that he's flourishing, getting something out of his career. So I really like him. I think he's a good player. I understand why Woodgate need to back his players 100%. So completely understand that. But I guess that Jonathan also do his math, so he also see how many goals Solanke have scored and Ivan have scored, and how many assists that Ivan have scored, or how many assists Solanke have scored. So I don't know if he's speaking this season or in general terms. I don't know. I think both of them are fantastic players.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Hi Thomas, how are you?
I'm fine, Ian. How are you?
I'm very well. Nervous?
Nervous? No, not yet.
Do you get nervous?
Yeah, I think when you go into before the game, there will always be a bit of nerve, always. Also in a normal championship game. If there's not, then then you shouldn't be in this game. So that'll be the right amount of nerves.
This is the second year you've been in the playoffs. Are you a fan of them?
When you become third 2 years in a row, you prefer that you're just the three best teams in the division that got promoted. But I understand why they're there, and I think they're brilliant for the narrative of the championship and that promotion battle going into the Premier League. I completely understand that, and the stories and the histories of the last years of the playoffs are remarkable, and one of the best, I would say, memories in English football, some of the finals and semi-finals. So I completely understand it.
I think I've asked you before about whether you're superstitious, but you mentioned the cup final. I mean, Leicester's win meant that they ended the run of the most defeats before winning the cup. So maybe there's a good omen for you. Leicester win the FA Cup. Brentford finally bury their hoodoo of not being able to make it through the playoffs. do you ever look at omens like that or not?
No, not at all. No, I don't believe in it. I think there's so many coincidences that affect the different results, the different years. I think this is a new situation, new story. We believe will come with everything, but also know that if you just look at the odds, then it will be completely even games. And even games, you can win, you can lose.
You mentioned about VAR there in the playoffs. I mean, the one thing I love about the Championship EFL games is that when I go to, for example, your fantastic new stadium, when the ball goes in, I have a quick look at the linesman. If his flag isn't up, I know it's a goal. Fans can do the same. You have that instant moment of joy that you maybe don't get in any other walk of life when a ball hits the back and that your team has scored. With VAR, it's 2 minutes of watching somebody drawing lines down a screen. Do you really want football to go that way? I know these are important games, but do you not prefer that the ball hits the net from Ivan Toney and you can go absolutely bonkers?
When you describe it that way, I actually agree. I really like. I think we all that are involved in football or fans, that everyone who loves football and watch football, they love that feeling. There's nothing better. You celebrate, look at the linesman, and then you go mad. I think that is fantastic. I don't know, because I think VAR, it's now we have VAR in Premier League and a lot of other leagues, and I don't think it'll go away. But I definitely think that we need to adjust it in a way. There need to be something that we can do better and use it in a better way. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. So there must be some referee boards, or not only referee boards, but also bigger boards that actually are looking at this and how can we adjust it so we're even more smooth and even better. Because I think the main thing is actually the offside rule. I think if there wasn't a foul, don't look too long back if there's a foul or not. For example, the Leicester goal yesterday, even that they had to look it back if there maybe was a potential handball. It shouldn't be like that. So I think definitely we can cut some goals away. Clear. Okay, that's a goal. Don't have to check it. Yeah.
My last one is that almost exactly this point last season, I was sat in my living room here talking to you ahead of your playoff games against Swansea, and now I'm talking to you ahead of your playoff games against Bournemouth. What have you learned in the last year? What is that maybe 1% you've learned might make a difference?
As a team, or
as you and a team, maybe.
Yeah.
Both.
That's a big question. Don't know actually what to 100% how to answer that. I think we all, got more experience in from last season. We evaluated together with coaching staff and sports directors, and what is that we could adjust, and what is that we maybe could do a tiny bit better. So we tried to, small bits tactically, still want to be a good defensive side, still want to attack, but then you get another striker in, so you adjust the tactics to his abilities, Ivan compared to Oli. And then we have the COVID. I know we had the COVID situation last year, but this was not 12 games running or 9 games running plus the playoffs. This was it was 46 in a shorter spell, and I think we talked about that we had, I can't remember how it was maybe 20 games more or less. It was crazy amount of games, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday. So how do we handle that? So we definitely found a way to rotate the squad, maximize things with a very short turnaround, week in, week out. And we actually just had a strategy meeting where we look back at the different areas we've been working on this year. And one of the surprising things was that our physical output was actually higher than last year, which is very impressive and a big compliment to the players, to the performance staff and the medical staff.
Listen, I wish you all the luck in the world. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Morning, Thomas.
Morning, Phil.
Good to see you on this Sunday morning. First question then from me. You were able to give the players a little bit of a break before you got back on the training ground. How useful was that couple of days off after last weekend?
I would say definitely for myself, Sunday off, a walk in Notting Hill with my wife and a nice lunch and just relaxing and with my daughter, and then Monday, Tuesday planning, and then Wednesday morning in ready to attack. And when you're coming in that, we have this new Jim McKee. That's amazing. So you're coming into that, and the players were just, bossing, energy, talking, and I was thinking, what? They haven't been away for each other for 3 weeks, only 3 days. So the energy in the room was extremely good, and it was just a good. I just love that atmosphere, because that tells me that the squad is in a good place. The club is in a good place. It's not the same that and we're doing absolutely fantastic next couple of games, but we are in a good place. We have created something that are really good, and now we will attack and hope that we can do it.
You've beaten Bournemouth twice already this season. Do those victories have any relevance going into this one tomorrow?
No, actually no, because they would have looking back on these 2 games. The same will we. How can we tweak it? How can we get the upper hand? And when you blow the first whistle, people will run more than they used to. They will be more switch on. You could just feel it, sense it. So it will be the finest margins. It's because they were so close. So the Bournemouth players will definitely think, and I think they should do, that both games, we were flying at them. The first 20-25 minutes, both games, we were better than them. We were unlucky not getting the goal, which maybe they were. And then would have been a different game, or would not have been a different game. Okay, they got a goal in the first game, what I remember. No, different games. I think Jonathan and I will look at each other before the game and think, what have he prepared? What can we expect? Will they do the same, or is there a little trick? Hide it.
We talked about the very positive conclusion to the season, and although there are players who are missing from your squad, everyone who's been involved in the rotation that you've had have had some good form. How difficult is it there for you, sitting this afternoon on a Sunday, thinking about tomorrow's kickoff at tea time, to pick your starting 11?
That is difficult. It is difficult, I must say. Very difficult. The good thing is that the team that's played have been in form. I think there's some players that are pushing, both Saman Godas and Emiliano Marcondes, which I think is got a fantastic mentality, and he just showed that last season. So I'm not afraid to throw him in there. There is the Rico Henry is available, so I need to have a big call to make if I want to start him or not, because he's been out for 3 months, but he's available, so that's a positive. So yeah, there's a lot of thinking to do, but let's see what I will choose.
Obviously, the absence of Rico and Henry forced you, or not forced you, but allowed you to maybe change the shape of the team that you put out onto the park. That adaptability that maybe you've had to use in the run-in, combined with maybe a shape that you used earlier in the season, actually could be beneficial, couldn't it? The fact that your team can switch into different shapes, into different formations mid-game, maybe, not just mid-season.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge plus. Also because we play with Christian in the back, or we had played with him in the back 3 down there. So it's easy for him to step up to the midfield if you want that. So no, that's a plus. Definitely the new formation in the 3-5-2 have looked good in many ways. But we also know that if Henrik and Riku they didn't got injured, then I'm 100% sure I wouldn't have changed the system. So now I have a few things to think about. So but it's two. I would say it's 2 good situations to choose from.
You mentioned Rico being back. Is that just a boost, seeing someone who's been out for a while, not just because of what he can offer as a player, but just seeing someone back and fit and ready to go? Does that give a boost to everyone?
Yeah, it does, because we all know how good a player Rico is. I think, of course, again, I know I'm biased, but he is at least top 3 in the championship. I probably think he's the best in the championship in left back position, but so he's a top player, so it's good to have him available, and that gives a boost to the team, definitely.
And finally, for me, the hurt of last year, which was sort of put aside very quickly for the start of the new season, is that something that though is there? So many players who were part of that last year. Can it be used as a positive energy, that hurt?
I think it's definitely been the fuel throughout the season, definitely, and I think the players have used it brilliantly, and I think we've been very close to make it to top 2. But we always spoke about how a fantastic season has been. Now is the cup tournament of the season. It's still a fuel, but also an experience that, even if you do everything perfect, you will still lose a match. So we need to go into that match with that burning desire and give everything and leave everything out there. Be brave, do what we normally do, and then actually understand that it is life or death in the 90 minutes. But after that, I'm sorry to say so, but life goes on. So I think it's good to put in that perspective, because there's a lot on stake, and we want it badly. But we need to understand that it's not like an exam and you do well and then you get your A plus, but there's a lot of other things that can affect it. So even if we perform to A plus, we're not actually sure that we'll get the outcome we want. So we are ready. We will attack. We know we're going to play against good teams, and a good team in Bournemouth that have done fantastic, and they'll be down to the fine margins in overtime or extra time in the second leg.